Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Ask Going in Raw. That's right, it's Going in Raw, but we're getting the questions straight from you from the get-go. And of course, you can ask those questions at the Patreon, patreon.com/Steven Larson, or by clicking join and becoming a YouTube channel member. That's right, of course, this weekend as well, we've got WWE Backlash live from Puerto Rico. San Benito, Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest in a street fight. We're going to be watching it live, of course, doing a live watch-along. Also, this Friday Noche, we're going to be doing a live watch-along of the Smackdown. So you guys can get our thoughts on that as we head into Backlash. In real time, exactly.
Real time.
Yeah, we're going to do the, like, whenever this is a business thing, but, like, whenever we do a review of a go home, the night of the go home, like the numbers just suck. It's weird.
It doesn't do very well now.
So we're gonna still do the SmackDown review on Monday, and we'll cover anything on SmackDown that's pertinent to the pay-per-view. We'll cover that on the pay-per-view review.
Exactly. Anything salient that happened on SmackDown that affected the pay-per-view, yes, we'll obviously discuss.
Right.
For the Backlash review.
Exactly. We're all learning here, Tony. So anyways, like I said at the jump, this is all about the friendos and their questions for us. So let's dive into it. By the way, I got to say, I'm very proud of my thumbnail today, man.
It looks good. You sent it to me. You're like, I need your approval on this one, Larson. It's a little ridiculous. I'm like, ridiculous approved.
But sight unseen. Ridiculous. Sight unseen. Approved.
And then it was ridiculous, and even after seeing it, approved.
Well, that's pretty great. Anyways, what's the first question?
First question is from Mayor Planet Houston. What are some of the worst draft moves, and what would you have done instead?
So I like going a bit to the extreme. Everybody likes to go crazy with the discourse these days. So I went.
That's putting it mildly.
No kidding. So I went ahead and made the most extreme thumbnail I could think of. Fix the draft. We got to fix the draft.
Yeah, like someone that's picked a little early, or someone that changed brands they shouldn't have. This is like fix the draft.
Oh my God, this thing's broken. It needs to be fixed.
You know, there is something. I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say broken, but I think the idea of the draft is more exciting than the draft itself and execution. Because you compare and contrast just how, like, I understand watching, like, because the NFL draft, the first night was the night before night one of the WWE Draft on Thursday.
Yeah.
And I know it's not for everybody, because it's a whole lot of sitting around waiting for teams to make the picks, but then they make the picks. But here's the thing that makes it exciting. It's two things that make it exciting. One, you get to learn about who these players are a bit.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So generally, if they're there, they'll interview them, talk to them a little bit. There's usually little video packages they'll run. You get to learn about who these players are going on in the NFL. You get to see these players achieve a dream they probably had since they were kids.
Sure.
And it's great. And there's the excitement inherent in the draft of teams making moves, trades, players being picked before you think they would be, and the discussion and the ripple effects that happen because of that later on in the draft. None of that exists when it comes to WWE Draft. The closest thing they get to that is when someone gets called up from NXT, they interview them, you get to see the emotion on their face of finally making it to the main roster. That's as close as we get. But in terms of the actual structure, the procedure of the draft, there's none of the excitement that's there with other professional sports drafts. It just feels like an obligation. This person's going here, this person's going there, this person's going here, and this person's going to SmackDown next round.
I feel like it needs to, and we'll get to the. We actually did a winners and losers of the draft video over at Friendo Club Wrestling, but we will talk about the actual question here in a moment. In terms of like what are the worst draft moves and what have you done instead? I thought that thematically was sort of like how would you have fixed the draft, made it better. Yeah. That being said, I think what you're saying is absolutely right. I'd like a little bit more drama. You know, I think it's a cool idea to like, give us an idea who are these people, but like just some drama. I loved the idea back in the day that you had specific people, not just a sign on a broom closet saying this is the war room. Specific people, general managers for both brands. I was going back and doing a little bit of research for a WrestleJuice video that I dropped today about the Undisputed Championship and exactly what it is. Back in the when Bischoff was running Raw and Stephanie was running SmackDown. And what did Stephanie do? Is like a couple months. It was like in August. The draft was in, I think, March of 2002. And in August, the Undisputed Champion back then was on both brands. He was defending on both. Well, Stephanie found out that his contract said he can defend it wherever he wants. So she gave him an exclusive deal, gave him a bunch more money to only defend it on SmackDown. That's the kind of shit that they could do again, but they don't. They make it, it's very sterile, you know?
Yeah.
It's like nobody's really having a lot of fun with the potential of the drama and the tension that it could be, as with many things, especially during Vince's later years in WWE. And I understand Triple H is quote unquote in charge, but at least back then in the first draft, there was intrigue. And at some point along the way, it turned into what you just referred to it as, an obligation. We need to rearrange the rosters. Let's just do this. And so as much as the commentators, scream and shout, "Oh my God, I can't believe Drew McIntyre's moving to Raw." Let's get some of the machinations. Let's get some of the politicking. Let's get some of the intrigue. Oh, Drew's traded to Raw, but hold on, there's a trade now. He's going back to SmackDown for this.
Yes.
There's a ton of different ways you can write. You can write this thing. Like this is like the NFL where like there's real stuff going on and maybe it could be boring or maybe not. You can write this to be intriguing every single year.
Yeah, you could. And it'd be interesting if the matches on the draft episodes actually had some bearing on the draft.
True. Yeah, also. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, a match is set up, whoever wins, all right, that's who our pick's going to be.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah.
You know, and maybe set it up so, you know, as in the NFL and pretty much any other sports, the higher you're drafted, the more money you make. You get a contract slot for a draft position. Mm-hmm. Give people motivation to want to be drafted higher.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's a lot of ways you can make the draft, the mechanics of the draft, more interesting rather than just announcing names going to different brands. And that's just all it is now. So it's rearranging the roster for on an annual basis, so you don't get the same matchups all the time. But you can tell stories by doing that, and for years they kind of just have it.
Every character should have their own motivation for what they want to achieve via the draft. I thought it was actually pretty cool a while ago when Rey Mysterio wanted to be traded away. He wanted to leave the company. He wanted to retire from WWE in storyline to get away from his son. And Triple H cut a deal with him. Hey, let's bring you to the other brand away from your son so that you stay with the company. That kind of thing should be playing out left and right in the draft. There should be all sorts of people coming up to the authority figures saying, listen, this is my pitch for you. This is what I want. You know, they should be working out the wrestlers or, like you said, having them involved in matches, you know, to scout them and who would work well where. You know, when you look at something like the G1, which is a scripted tournament over in New Japan where there is a ton of weird math involved, they book that down to tooth and nail, you know,
every little detail,
every little detail, every single point matters. So you can't tell me it can't be done in wrestling. Booking the G1 seems like it'd be an absolute nightmare, by the way, but every year it is absolutely intriguing how they do it. It's scripted. You could do whatever you want. So add some intrigue to it. Yeah,
exactly. Another thing that bothered me this year is the free agent status of some of the people following draft. Now, in Brock's case, he negotiated himself to be a free agent because he wanted to go where he goes. Understandably, it's Brock Lesnar. That's been established. He just wants to do what Lesnar wants to do. But then you have someone like Amos and MVP where you think the idea is like, okay, we want Amos to be seen as above brands, as an attraction.
Yeah,
I get that. But then to classify Amos in with the same group of people like Dolph, Mustafa Ali, Baron Corbin, where it feels like it wasn't a situation where those competitors negotiated some deal for themselves to be on whatever brand they wanted to be. It felt like they were just undrafted.
Yeah.
And that's different.
Yeah, sure.
And there should be a delineation between an undrafted free agent and someone who negotiated their own free agency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if we had been given that information like Triple H did for Brock, if MVP had given us that information MHJ says MVP kayfabe negotiated for Amos. Apparently, was that on Twitter or was that on the Lowdown or Raw Talk or something? I had not seen that unless they mentioned it on TV, and I simply wasn't paying attention, which is always entirely possible here going in Raw. We're a new podcast.
We're still learning how to absorb and all this information.
MHJ did say the Lowdown.
Okay,
that's it. I mean, look, that's good info to have. If that escaped my radar because it was on the SmackDown Lowdown, and then WWE tweeted it. Cool, awesome, great. That's the kind of stuff that really should be on, like, in a prominent position on TV, not on the SmackDown Lowdown.
Exactly.
But and I understand, we're podcasters, we should be paying maybe closer attention. But
again, there's a lot of information coming our way. Because not only do we do podcasts, we're not as young as some other starting podcasts like our ages. We're up there. We spent 20 years plus each. Working in government bureaucracy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we just got done with our civil servant jobs.
Yes.
We're negotiating our pensions right now, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. Unfortunately, not the full pension, just percentage, because we didn't do the full number of years necessary to get the full pension. So
right, we're a couple of dummies. So that being said, let's the actual question.
Yeah,
we did a winners and losers over at the other channel, but give us what is the number one worst decision made in the draft?
Putting Asuka and Bayley on the same brand as Bianca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's no chance basically that either of them are going to beat Bianca for that title, because they haven't. They've each had, in Bayley's case, multiple opportunities to win the title from Bianca and didn't do it. And really doing the swap with sending Bianca to SmackDown and Rhea to Raw. Mm-hmm. Now you got to do the title trade, and maybe there's a way they can write it to make it interesting. But at the same time, as we have a very small sample size last year, seeing what they did with it, and it did not go well.
Yeah, it was horrible.
That's the precedent that was set. So they have to do something to make us forget about that.
Now, what's interesting about that? Conversely, if last year Becky and Charlotte were completely on the same page and they booked some sort of like big madcap fight between the two of them doing the title swap that was reminiscent of the WrestleMania 35 go home, where like the cops were involved and shit, there was a big pull apart brawl, that would raise our expectations for this year. It could change perception if they had done it properly last year, but it was just awkward and stupid.
Yeah.
And if they had written something, and I hope they write something chaotic but scripted and clever and interesting for Rhea and,
my expectations are?
This
is what I think is going to happen. It's going to be a quick video on Twitter where they just trade belts and that's it.
Is it going to be in the ring, or is it going to be backstage?
Backstage.
Because they did backstage with with Street Profits and New Day, I think, a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
where they're just like, here you go, here's the titles. So yeah, no, I think those are good. My worst one, honestly, it sort of oscillates between two. Because you kind of did that too. Number one, Miz staying on Raw, because Miz TV segments are unwatchable, basically. But kind of bigger than that, the more and more I process it, Raw making out with like almost every major name in the men's singles division, I guess you can call it, because they have everybody. It's like over on SmackDown, you have Lashley, AJ Styles, I guess Austin Theory, but he's kind of unwatchable to me right now. And then, of course, Roman's there. But beyond that, like, they don't have a ton of depth in like sort of the men's. I mean, Sheamus is still there.
Yeah.
They don't have a ton of depth, but if you look at all the names that went to Raw, it's kind of obscene. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like there's way too many and not enough hardware to go around. Gunther's he's not gonna lose that IC title anytime soon, I don't think.
No.
Which leaves what for all those dudes to do?
I wonder if, since they're going to do a tournament to crown the new world heavyweight champion, if that's one of the reasons they really loaded up Raw, so they have like a stacked 8-man field to do this tournament.
Yeah, that could be. Do their own G1.
But then they could have done something where say Nakamura and I don't know, somebody else that got drafted from SmackDown to Raw stayed on SmackDown, but they found a way to negotiate their way into this tournament, and if they win, they would get transferred over to Raw, or a trade would be worked out. Yeah. Something like that, So SmackDown, the main event scene or the upper mid card didn't look quite as depleted as it does.
Yeah.
So who knows?
So we'll see. Anyways.
Next question from Time More says, with WWE having sellout audiences at their recent house shows, as well as setting new records for both attendance and viewership for their recent pay-per-view since Triple H has taken over, and AEW looking like they're going to very well sell very well at the Wembley shows, up to 46,000 tickets, my understanding.
A lot of people.
Yep, and that's just the pre-sale. Would you say this is the hottest wrestling has been since the Attitude Era?
It kind of feels like it. I'll be honest with you. I feel like, since the Attitude Era, people seem to enjoy the year 2003 in wrestling quite a bit. There was some cool stuff going on there. What was it? Across the Nation was the theme song for Raw. That was really well.
People really like that one.
Yeah, people really like that.
I'm more of a thorn in your eye type guy.
I'm more of a rock with me type guy.
Oh God.
Man, I mean, yeah, kind of like. I don't know. Look, it's disingenuous to look at like sheer ratings numbers. That's just, you can't do that these days.
Yeah,
because
television landscape's way different. Yeah,
even between now and 5 years ago, the landscape is entirely different.
Yeah.
But I think that I'll just say this, with so much wrestling and all various types accessible to everybody instantly, it's hard to say that there's been a time in the past quite like this, when you can turn on Stardom, you can turn on New Japan, you could turn on Impact, you could turn on WWE or AEW, get anything you want to see at any time, and it's right there. Like I have no idea what the sheer number of like total wrestling viewers is now compared to where it was in the Attitude Era, but certainly when you look at WWE, and especially how the product has been pretty decent lately. It's definitely been more than watchable, I'd say. And then you have AEW; their fan base is pretty hot for their product. I kind of feel like it's at an apex right now, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely if not apex, upward trajectory. It's interesting though, having lived through the Attitude Era. Wrestling is in a kind of an interesting place in terms of its perception, because I think it's now more accepted than ever in terms of the mainstream. Like there's still that stigma of pro wrestling. Oh, it's fake, but it's not what it used to be. Not even close. I don't feel like. I don't think people talk shit about wrestling as much as they used to because it's choreographed fighting. That being said, I don't know if it feels like the energy and the excitement level for professional wrestling is what it was during the Attitude Era.
So having gone, just looking at the shows back then, the energy inside the arenas, I don't think is anywhere close to what it was back then. The sense of urgency within wrestling, I feel like, is not really there.
No.
So
compare to the Attitude Era, no. Yeah, definitely.
Right. So yeah, I feel that. It's kind of interesting mentioning, the perception and people saying it's the fake stuff. It's interesting to me that, especially these days, when I tell, my barber or somebody, yeah, I do a wrestling podcast, the fake stuff. I always say that. I always say, yeah, the fake stuff, to get that shit out of the way. It's interesting to me that during the Attitude Era, with WWE running, the Super Bowl commercial, get it?
Yeah.
That the public perception, because it is so these days stuck in the Attitude Era. When I say, yeah, I do a wrestling podcast, 9 times out of 10, oh man, I love Steve Austin. Is he still wrestling?
Yeah.
I love The Undertaker. Is he still wrestling? I love DX. It's interesting to me that the perception didn't change back then to more of a, yeah, we know it's fake. Who cares? Like, that's not, it's entertainment. And there is still that stigma. It's fake stuff. That's weird to me, because it's like, yeah, like everybody knows that. It's not, you're not saying anything new, I don't know. Just sort of a weird, like, given how popular it was and how accepted it was back in the late 90s and in early aughts, that perception culturally didn't really change.
No, not a whole lot.
It's still used as like, oh, I'm going to be clever and say it's fake,
Yeah.
It's weird.
The way it's been described for 100 years before that. I will say this, in terms of independent wrestling in terms of not just regional wrestling promotions, but larger indies like GCW. It is way easier now than ever before to watch that stuff. You mentioned the accessibility factor, where a lot of the larger regional promotions, even smaller regional promotions, have YouTube channels. You can watch shows from a lot of promotions at any time from any place across this country. Probably a lot of places around the world. And at least in terms of the success of independent wrestling, I mean, the case could be made now that independent wrestling is hotter than it's ever been because of that. Because you don't have to live in that region to watch the shows. There's so many wrestlers who work the independents on a regular basis that have gathered such a large following that people will watch, the YouTube shows from these smaller regional brands to watch those wrestlers.
Yeah, man.
And that's something new that hasn't really happened. You have to, trade tapes back in the 90s and 2000s to do that.
You can watch Action Coast Wrestling Surge right now.
Exactly. Now you just got to go on
Wrestling's website,
YouTube, and type in a wrestler's name or a promotion, and bang, you got a whole bunch of stuff.
That's how you do it like that, too.
That's how I do all my typing on my computer. 2 index fingers.
Yeah, you're just doing. That's what you learned from Shawn Michaels. You can't wrestle like him, but you could type like him.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, you want to pay some bills before we answer the next question?
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to take a quick break here, friendos. This episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. Larson, it can be pretty easy to get caught up in what everyone needs from you, whether it's work, family, or friends. You could spend so much time giving that you start feeling stretched too thin and burned out because you can't find the time to take a moment to think about what you need from yourself.
Yeah, I know that feeling. When I was in my mid-20s, I had lost that balance, was feeling pretty overwhelmed by life, and started dealing with severe anxiety. And it got to the point where I realized that I had to go to therapy. And it took me a few tries to find someone I felt comfortable talking to, but once I did, I learned the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety. So, if you're looking to bring some balance back to your life, therapy can help you learn the tools you need so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
BetterHelp is entirely online and is designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. And all you got to do to get started is fill out a brief online questionnaire, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. What is the next question?
Next one's from Ben Aberley. Ben asked, now that the draft is gutted, NXT, which up-and-coming NXT prospects have the best chance of climbing the ranks to fill those main event spots? P.S. Shout out to Enforcer, wishing him all the best. Agreed. Love to the Enforcer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Tiffany Stratton clearly is going to become the next NXT Women's Champion. I would be shocked if she didn't. I know that last night, spoiler alert, they vacated Indy's title because she's heading up to main roster. I don't know what's going to happen with the women's tag team championships. I know they did a thing last night, but I don't.
Yeah, no third team added to that match.
Yeah, didn't they just say they're taking the titles to SmackDown or something like that? That's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Tiffany Stratton clearly is main event material. I think they've got it. They got plenty of people in the women's division to pull that out.
And the worry about NXT isn't so much from a talent perspective. I mean, losing 16, 17 roster members, a lot of them regularly featured on the show, is a massive loss. But especially with the influx of talent from NXT UK, there's a lot of depth in NXT, and there's plenty of people that are in a position to step up pretty quick. I guess the worry is from a creative standpoint, where again, a lot of the people called up were really involved in the show on a week-to-week basis. You take them out, yeah, you can plug new people in, but some of those new talents aren't necessarily as well known to the audience. Some of them don't have his characters as well developed. So from a creative standpoint, I feel like there's going to be a bit of time, maybe not that long, where they kind of have to get the talent from a creative standpoint kind of up to speed, so the losses aren't felt as deeply.
I don't know, man. Like 17, 16, whatever it is, it's a big number, but let's break it down by division real quick. Women's division, You've got JC Jane and Gigi Dolan still there doing really good stuff in a solo feud against each other. Tiffany Stratton clearly is going to be the next champion. Roxanne Perez is still there. So there's 4 top names.
Yeah.
I know Sol Ruca, she's like injured right now. She's going to be out for a while. Nikita Lyons is going to be out for a while. What other names are in the women's division that
Zoe got called up?
Zoe got called up. That's right.
We got Ivy Nile. Maybe now that she's out of this feud with Tatum Paxley, they'll actually do something with her.
You still have Fallon Henley. You got Kiana James.
Yeah.
So I feel like that the main one is the women's tag titles, because otherwise, like, Carmelo and Braun are still there. I know Grayson Waller's going to be. There's going to be a big hole there.
Yeah.
But you got those guys. I feel like the sort of the North American scene, they can relieve some pressure there by elevating a couple guys. Maybe Wes Lee can drop that title and feud with Carmelo again.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it seemed like it was the women's tag division, maybe to a degree the men's main event scene were probably the 2 divisions most impacted by the call-ups.
Yeah. Because people also bring up, that's right, Cora Jade's still there. Thea Hale's still there. Blair Davenport hasn't been seen.
Yeah, I think she was hurt.
Lyra Valkyrie.
Yeah, the women's division NXT is super deep. There's tons of really good, really good performers there.
Yeah.
And I wonder. I'll run this past you. This occurred to me with Isla and Alba. This is kind of a tangent here. With Isla and Alba seemingly taking the NXT women's tag titles with them to SmackDown. Could they just have tag titles on each brand? Rebrand the NXT women's tag titles as SmackDown women's tag titles?
We did talk about how deep the women's tag division is. I haven't done like the numbers, but you theoretically could have almost the same number of women's tag teams as men's tag teams, and they really should split those titles as well. So that's a possibility. Yeah, that is a possibility. But with that men's scene, I think there's a number of. Okay, so let's take a look at the mid card men's divisions. Who would you elevate to the main event scene? I think Axiom's probably ready.
Yeah, you have Axiom.
You could elevate Joe Coffey immediately instead of keeping him in like the North, if he's going to mill about in the North American scene.
Yeah, but he just lost to Joe Gacy, so I don't know if that's going to happen.
Joe Gacy is a name you could elevate.
Dragon Lee.
They had Joe Gacy in the main event scene.
Yeah,
and it was terrible.
I mean, you got Dragon Lee, you got Ilya.
Yeah.
You got Noam Dar after he loses the Heritage Cup to Dragon Lee, because that's going to happen.
And that's another division they're going to have as well, probably to relieve some pressure.
I mean, I don't think this is a situation where NXT is in dire need of influx of talent and new creative ideas. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. It's going to be like maybe a 3-5 week period where it's like, all right, they're obviously just trying to bring in new talents and find something that works for them creatively.
They're going to have to do. You're right though about the men's main event scene. They are definitely going to have to do that. They're going to have to find ways to sort of justify some of this stuff. But yeah, no, you're right. The talent is there. It's going to be interesting to see how they wait. Tyler Bate was called up. Tyler Bate wasn't called up.
No, Tyler Bate wasn't called up.
Somebody said Tyler Bate was called up.
No.
Yeah, I don't think
he's someone else that's going to be in that North American title scene. It looks like
he is. They need to get past that friggin' Zen guy stuff that they're doing. Not into it.
I know you don't like that. I didn't mind that at all.
You're like, I feel that guy. I want to be more zen.
Oh, I would be more relaxed. Heck yeah.
Exactly. Guardian Ape says, what's the worst case scenario for the new World Heavyweight Championship in regards to who wins?
Oh, if Austin Theory had stayed on Raw and won it.
Oof. Oh, boy. Yeah, so I'm trying to think, like, what is the worst case scenario? I don't know if there's a worst case there. My best case is Dom wins at first, man. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that'd be something else. That would be something else.
That'd be pretty great. But otherwise, I don't know if there's a worst case. I'll be honest with you. Is the worst case scenario Seth winning at first? Because it's kind of the most obvious, boring
That's
way.
The most predictable case, yeah. I mean, MHJ says Brock. That's a good point.
Oh, Brock is the worst case. Yeah, that's 1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, if Brock won it first.
Yeah, that's the worst case.
Because I don't know if we need two champions who are the mountain that someone must climb to win the title, you know?
Yeah, Cody and Seth might be the worst case.
Well, if Cody won it, it's like, I'm happy with this belt.
That's kind of worst case, right? Yeah, that's kind of lousy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of lousy. Oh, God, yeah, White Brownie's got it, Miz.
Yeah.
Miz winning it, that's the worst case.
It probably would be.
Oh, God, that'd be horrible.
I mean, as anybody who doesn't... I mean, if the whole idea of this new belt is, hey, Roman's not around, he cheats to win all the time, and he's beat everybody by cheating to win. We need a belt that's going to generate some goodwill with the fan base and some legitimate excitement. So if whoever wins that doesn't do those things, then it's going to feel like a letdown. That's why Seth seems so obvious, because everybody loves Seth. He puts on great matches. He wrestles basically every week. He checks all the boxes for who should win it first.
Yeah, he does. All right, the next question is from
Kyle.
Oh, Kyle, there he is.
Yes. What are some pros and cons of having Roman Reigns win the World Heavyweight Championship while he is still undisputed Universal Champion? Steve, do you want to take the pros or do you want to take the cons?
I'll do the hard one. I'll do the pros.
Oh, all right. I mean, the cons are pretty self-evident. You want 3 titles on one guy who's barely on TV? Probably not. You want your 3 top titles on the guy who cheats to win now in a seemingly predictable manner? Probably not. I mean, the list of cons is like Jericho's list of 1,004 moves.
Yeah, he does. He's not there. He doesn't wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of this belt is we want a fighting champion. That's not Roman. We want a champion on TV all the time. That's not Roman.
Yeah, right.
If the premise of this title is to have fighting champion that people can get behind, that's just not Roman Reigns' character now. So it can't be Roman in that regard. The only reason you put on Roman is just to generate massive amounts of heat. But then you're verging on the wrong type of heat.
From a business perspective, he's the biggest deal in the company. and that heat would be nuclear.
Here's another reason you should put it on Roman. It's instantly legitimate.
That's another one. Yeah, that's another good.
It's instantly on par with the 2 other titles he has because he wants it.
Yeah. Then would they make another title for Raw? They just keep on making titles
until he's like Ultimo Dragon with all the titles Roman. They create. Yeah, he's like, Ultimo I have no Roman. Space on my body for another belt, so sure, you can have this one Raw.
Ultimo Reigns. Let's do it. It.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, so similarly, the wild card Luisa Reza says, has WWE dug themselves into a hole with Roman's title run? What a great hole to be in, because he's been wildly successful. I mean, creatively, yeah, because we have still not come up with a good scenario that would be satisfying creatively to get like the title split or what
the
they
case
did
we
right
made
now.
That they did have a good scenario with Cody at WrestleMania to get those titles off him.
Well, okay, the title split though. Like to get 2 world champions, to de-unify those titles, I guess. Have they dug a hole for themselves? I don't know. Like from a business standpoint, no. From a creative standpoint, it's been the best story that they've told like ever. So it's hard to say that as well. So I feel like no, they haven't. The hole they've dug for themselves doesn't really outweigh the benefits of what they've done with Roman Reigns. That's just a fact. The bloodline's hot. It revolves around him and the compelling cast of characters they put around him. No, he's like probably the most compelling character they've come up with. Him and people in his orbit.
Yeah.
They're the most compelling cast of characters they've had maybe ever, perhaps ever.
Yeah.
So no, they really haven't.
They've done pretty good of whenever the bloodline story starts to get a bit stale, they introduce a new element into it.
Dude, the aura of Roman Reigns is a character that appears on TV. Like, he doesn't have to be there for him to be an active participant in these storylines. It's nuts.
I know. Right when the first kind of run of the bloodline's like, okay, this is kind of running its course, Sammy gets involved. It takes it in a whole new direction and makes it the storyline in all professional wrestling. And then now that aspect of it's kind of concluded. Now the focus is really moving on to Solo and his role in all this. He's not just enforcer. There's something else going on there with Solo that I'm curious to see how that plays out.
You want to know what the deal is. That's that's the whole point of it. And it's like the Usos keep racking up these losses and you're thinking to yourself, oh God, how is Roman going to react to this? He hasn't texted him back. I'm sorry, but that's compelling shit. And doesn't even have to be there.
Not even on TV.
Creatively speaking, that is kind of impressive. You have to admit.
Yeah. And they've been doing it for almost 3 years. Mm-hmm. Be 3 years at what, SummerSlam?
I implore people, man, go back and watch that video that WWE put out before Mania, with all the Bloodline segments. That first chunk with him and Jay and Jimmy, oh my God, it's so good.
It's so good.
And could you imagine how much the heat, the reactions we'd have gotten if there was a crowd there? Oh my God. I know. God.
Not just a bunch of...
God, yeah.
But that's the situation they were in, so. Jack Napier.
Anonymous tip. Napier's cleaning out Axis chemicals.
All right, this might be the last time I have you do that. Some people are getting tired of it. Unless you want to.
That just means you're getting tired of it.
No, I'm not at all. I listen to you do that every day. So Jack Napier asked, do you think there will be a situation where Jay will have to choose between his twin and staying in the bloodline? And if so, what do you think he will choose? He'll choose his brother.
He's got to choose his brother, man.
Yep.
He's got to choose his brother. But that, again, that's just compelling shit. Yeah. What's he going to choose? And we're a month after WrestleMania, and we're still like, oh, man, what's Jay going to do? That's creative success in my book, man.
Yeah, it is. And definitely, I mean, there's a lot of scenarios where you can see Jay being put in a position where he has to make a choice one way or the other.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
A fork in the road for him. What is he going to choose?
Yeah.
And you can see the same thing for Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to choose Roman? Is he going to choose his brothers?
Yeah.
And that conflict is what really makes the Bloodline story so interesting, is that everybody's got that tension.
The Usos have their legacy intact, and I know they're still hungry, but Solo, as a character, he's just getting started. Yeah. So it's like, man, do I go with my literal brothers, or do I go with my cousin who's the hottest thing ever and propel my career forward?
Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff.
It is. The Blind Mask asks, who do you think will be the 8 Money in the Bank participants? 4 from Raw, 4 from SmackDown.
Okay, yeah, sure.
You want Raw or SmackDown?
Golly, I'll take Raw.
All right. For Raw, I do AJ, Grayson Waller.
Can we do a second list of who I want it to be?
Rey Mysterio. That means you got to put Dom in there. And then Solo Sikoa.
Okay, so from Raw, I've got Drew, Cody, Finn, Shin. That's what I've got. Shinsuke, Finn, Cody, Drew. Now here's my list of who I'd want it to be.
Oh, very good.
Wait, no, he went to SmackDown. Shit. Okay, yeah. So yeah, Dom. So if it's Dom, it can't be Finn, because they're like in the same thing. So I'll go with Dom. Oh, here we go. Just to trigger you, Otis.
Hurts.
Oh yeah.
I guess okay.
Dom, Otis. Oh, he's a free agent, but I'll pick him anyways. Amos. And who am I missing right now? Who am I missing? Oh, of course, Cody. Come on now.
Cody. All right, if that's who I want, it'd be AJ. It would be LA Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if he's gonna be able to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Big E.
Oh, well, that's a good one. Yeah.
And Jey Uso.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Can I trade? Can I make a trade? Can I send?
Big E will probably be on Raw though, because the New Day got drafted over there.
Can I do a trade? Can I if I remove Otis and the negativity that comes with him? Can I get Boogs from SmackDown to be in my I want them in
sure.
Okay, so Otis is out, Boogs is in.
All right, sure. We got to agree to a trade though. So who from Raw will you send to SmackDown?
Okay, you don't want Otis. I don't know. Well, who do you want? Let me know. I'm open for business. Yeah, Drew, Cody, Finn, Shin, and then my list is Dom, Cody, Otis, Amos, Boogs. Now I got Boogs from
Boogs. Give me Ricochet.
Okay, you get Ricochet.
Ricochet. All right, put Ricochet in there.
Okay, cool. Anyways, next question.
Dank Meme Center asks, who's your leading women's superstar from Raw and or SmackDown that is poised for a meaningful Money in the Bank run? So we can kind of do what we did with Blind Mass. 4 from Raw, 4 from SmackDown. in the women's Money in the Bank match, and who do we each think is poised for a solid run with the briefcase? So I'll take Raw this time. You take SmackDown.
All right, I got SmackDown. All right, so this
I'll do for Raw. I'll do Becky.
Oh shoot!
I'll do.
Who's even on SmackDown now?
Liv, Raquel, and Indy Hartwell.
I'm trying to see who's even on SmackDown, because I got Asuka, I got Shotzi. I was gonna pick Chelsea, but her and Sony went to Raw as well. Who else is on SmackDown?
Io's on SmackDown.
Oh, Io, that's a great one.
Dakota Kai, Charlotte, Bayley.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for storyline purpose, so I got Asuka, Shotzi, Io, Bayley.
Okay,
that makes some sense. And
have Becky win it, and then she can challenge Rhea at some point for the title.
There you go. That works. Next up from Brent. We'll actually pause here really quick because we have a super chat. From Coach John Pliskin. What's the best way to have a Gunther and Honky Tonk Man moment during this reign? So bringing in Honky. Is Honky Tonk Man, he's cool with the WWE, right? Didn't they put him in the Hall of Fame?
I think so.
I think they did. I think he's cool with the Federation.
I think so.
I mean, after having seen Gunther dancing at his wedding, do the guitar stuff.
do his best Elvis dance.
Right, yeah, exactly. Break character,
and then he chops.
Honky Tonk.
Yeah, then he chops him.
Exactly. Yes, this is sacred.
Yeah,
Elvis.
Totally.
Elvis, dereliction of duty. Yeah. Let's see.
Brendan Monroe has a question here. You're stuck on a desert island. You can take one men's match, one women's match, and one tag team match with you. What are you choosing and why?
All right. So one men's match. I'm going to go with John Cena versus RVD at One Night Stand.
Why?
Yeah, the atmosphere of that match, I think, is unmatched in modern pro wrestling. I think that crowd was absolutely nuts. That moment was absolutely crazy, and RVD winning, I thought, was absolutely a stroke of genius. So yeah, that's my men's match. What's your men's match?
My men's match is probably end of an era. Shawn Michaels refereeing Triple H, Undertaker. It's not the most showy match in terms of moves, but in terms of wrestling storytelling, how I like it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Nothing really beats it.
Yeah,
nothing really beats stuff. End of an era. Such a fantastic bout. Love it.
When Shawn Michaels helped Triple H and didn't get the job done.
Oh, him in the corner just like beside himself is so good.
That is so good.
It's so good.
When you try to shoot the devil in the back and you miss, oh my God.
Oh,
and they're just, he's turned into a child at that point. Like, oh my God, I fucked up.
Women's match, it'd be Sasha Banks versus Bayley at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn.
Yeah, dude, man.
Such a fantastic bout. Great storytelling.
Yeah.
Just a perfectly executed wrestling match.
Yeah.
And you get Bayley getting her moment winning the title. Just about as perfect a wrestling match as there is.
That's good. I'll take wasn't it like a TLC the triple threat Asuka, Becky, Charlotte?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a TLC match?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. That one. I'll take that. I remember that being like a killer match.
Yeah. That's when Asuka won, right?
That's the one Asuka won. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one Asuka won. That was awesome.
That was good. And a tag match.
Oh, the one we were there for, the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks.
Yeah, it's hard to top that one.
Yeah.
If not that one, then I'll say New Day versus the Usos, Hell in a Cell.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, it was around that time where you're like, all right, Hell in a Cell, that's kind of run its course. It's kind of no one, like in terms of creative uses of implementing the cell as a weapon, it seemed like it kind of run its course. And that match happened all sorts of different things that we never thought we'd see in a Hell in a Cell match. They did.
Yeah, yeah. Continue both those teams. Both those tag teams continually being creative in the ring. It's just it never ended. It was great. We have Alex, Queen of the Ring, here in our Twitch chat. What's up, Alex? Everybody go follow Alex, please.
Yes, go follow Alex. Before we do lightning round, if you're watching this on the YouTube, we got 407 people watching right now live. If you're watching this on VOD, if you could, please give this a thumbs up, a like. If you're new, join what you hear and watching. Subscribe, hit that notify bell. We got podcasts up every weekday. Some days on the weekends too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do all that. Subscribe so you don't miss it. We also have a secondary channel, Friendo Club Wrestling. It's like the 1B to this 1A.
Yeah,
I guess.
When are we going to redub that Wrestling Plus?
That was going to be Wrestle Party. That was going to be Wrestling Plus.
Oh, it's Wrestle Party. Okay.
Yeah, Wrestle Party. I actually have an idea for that, but I have to come up with a business plan first and approach you appropriately with
a deck.
Yeah, I got to put together a deck. Because,
Wrestling YouTube at scale. Is that what you're saying?
You know me, man. My brain starts going, and then I'm like, all right, I got to wheel the old man into this. I got to kick
old curmudgeon Larson.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if what happened earlier today with the thumbnail, where you're like,
it's a beautiful thumbnail.
It is, and I don't know why you thought that. Like, it'd be too ridiculous. Or were you saying that tongue in cheek?
No, it is. Right. It is so ridiculous, though.
It is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it's beautifully ridiculous.
It is.
Sometimes
it's fantastic.
It's kind of out of like what our normal thumbnails are for the podcast. But god damn it, it's beautiful. It's honestly my favorite thumbnail this year so far.
It's really good. Thumbnail Plus, as Mr. Pidlord here says.
Because like when you recorded that like reaction thing, like and like also I ran your face through like the AI enhancement. And so gave you like a little bit of a Joker smile. Some of your beard hairs are like
I did notice that. Yeah, I did notice that.
It's kind of awesome. Yeah, it's great.
I did notice that.
Thumbnail Plus, absolutely, Mr. P.
Thumbnail Plus.
Thumbnail Plus. Yeah.
Indeed. All right, you want to lightning around some questions here?
Yes, please.
All right, Blake Whitehouse asks here, who will be pinned first in their next singles match? Next, Bianca, Rhea, or Roman. So next singles match would be Backlash for Bianca and Rhea. Roman probably won't have another singles match till Night of Champions.
Okay, hold on. Is this who's going to get pinned next?
Who will be pinned first in their next singles match? So of those three names, it's Bianca.
Who's going to get a pin attempt on them?
No, who's going to lose?
Who's going to lose? Who's going to lose next?
Of those three champions, who's most likely to lose their next singles match?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's Bianca.
Bianca over Rhea?
Zelina is not going to beat Rhea Ripley.
Well, no, I'm sorry. That's what I meant though. Like I didn't know if the question is who's most likely, who is going to lose next out of those three names?
I think that's kind of the gist. Yeah. It's who's most likely to lose next in their next singles match. And if we're looking, two of them have their next singles match scheduled at Backlash. Okay, yeah. Bianca is more likely to get pinned by Io than Rhea is by Zelina.
Zelina. Yes, I agree with that. I'm sorry. I interpreted the question as who's simply going to lose next. Now, whether it's 6 months from now or a year from now, who's going to lose before the other one?
Because their next singles match is part of the question.
Okay, yeah.
So yes, Bianca.
Yeah, it's Bianca. Yeah.
Stan here asks, will WWE do the right thing and make a tag team out of free agents bearing Corbin Von Wagner?
Hey, I got to watch that Von Wagner segment on NXT.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either.
I'm fascinated by it. I just saw a still of it, and he looked very serious.
Oh, wow.
And it was like on a close-up of him, yeah.
Wow.
I know, right?
It's a level of intensity that might be too much.
I know, right? Hey. Oh, no, because, dude, it said, what's Von Wagner's big secret? I was like, what?
Is he going to talk about the dead body?
Yeah, maybe.
Wow. This could be emotionally harrowing stuff then.
Hey, if HBK hit us up, I know we always said we'd never work for WWE. If HBK hit us up and was like, hey, guys, can I hire you on as like storyline consultants? We'd do it, right?
Oh, I would for Shawn Michaels, yeah.
That'd be kind of awesome.
So long as I didn't have to move to Orlando.
I don't want to live in Florida.
No. Dylan here asked, do you guys think Roderick Strong would have stayed with WWE if they called him up? No.
Would Roderick Strong? Oh, would he have stayed with WWE if they called him up?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on how they used him. If they like went ahead with the cruiserweight title stuff and he was like a big part of it, Yeah, probably.
I don't know. There's always a ceiling for cruiserweight stuff.
You were going to say small people.
No, I wasn't.
For short
the cruiserweight division.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, short people don't get ahead in WWE, man. I agree.
Patrick Kennedy, how do you guys go about turning Bayley back into the ponytail hugging babyface? Here's an interesting way to do it. Damage Control breaks up. She's so lost. She doesn't know where to go, and so she goes back to that presentation, but not necessarily back to that character.
Right.
Since she has no faction, no friends, she wants the crowd to embrace her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she goes back to what got her over huge in NXT, but she can't bring herself to actually be that same character.
Because she's still at heart kind of an asshole.
Yes.
Yeah. Bayley is such a fascinating character because like I said this the other day, all of her actions are total face actions. Mm-hmm. But she frames it. Her personality is just wholly unlikable. Yeah. But seemingly her motives are altruistic.
Yeah. It's like she has her friends in Damage Control and she wants her friends to do well.
Yeah. She just stepped aside for EO. Nobody does that if they're a bad guy.
Nope.
Man, Maggie even says, I can't stand Von Wagner, and that segment made me a believer. What the heck?
Wow, is Von Wagner going to elevate above going in Raw Wrestler of the Year?
I'm dying to see this shit, man.
Oh, wow. May have to watch that when we're done here.
Absolutely.
Cameron Bordelazzo here says, would you rather have the men's tag titles on one brand, the women's on the other, to give each brand a distinct feel, or keep them cross-brand? Split the men's titles, have Isla Dawn and Alba Fire bring the NXT women's tag titles to SmackDown. They'll now be the SmackDown women's tag titles, and then create a mid-card title, a women's title for NXT.
If they can manage the time and make sure that nobody gets lost in the shuffle, then I agree with that. I think that's good. Yeah.
Jesse Goodluck says, it's bizarre as an Australian for me to see a former player from my favorite sports team in Zion Quinn make it to the main roster of WWE. Which scenario would be more likely? Zion trying to weasel his way into the bloodline or teaming up with Bronson Reed? Which one do you think would be more likely?
I think a team with him and Bronson Reed would be interesting because Bronson, I mean, boy, everything's so steady. They've got such a big roster.
I know.
Yeah, I think teaming up with Bronson Reed could be cool. Sometimes it's good to bounce off people, see if you develop a good chemistry, people are going to be into what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah. Alex Foster, how would you book the idea of free agents before they sign?
Before they sign? Wait, what?
It's the idea for example, Von Wagner, drafted free agent brand.
Hey.
How do you book him signing with the brand?
He goes up to Adam Pearce and he's like, hey, listen, hey, Pearce, give me a contract. And Pearce is like, you're a big, we like your size. We like your look. We saw you in NXT. You're doing good stuff. Here's your contract. And Von Wagner's about to sign. He says, also, I've got a secret. And he's like, whoa, wait. What? You got it. Yeah, I've got a big secret. Here, let me sign. And he's like, no, you're not going to sign that.
No, he signed
What is the secret? Has to do with the dead body. And he signs it. And he's like, no, God, no. I wish I'd have known about this dead body.
But now it's legally binding.
Sign the deal. Pierce, you big dummy.
Sign the deal. Shavon here says, when his career is all said and done, which run will Adam Cole be remembered for, NXT or AEW?
Oh, shit, man. I think people are going to remember him for the guy that Vince wanted to turn into a manager. I don't know. When all is said and done, if they have him take the title off MJF, I think that might be what he's remembered most fondly for. Probably. But, man, that Undisputed run, that 2019 run was something else.
Else.
Yeah. But it also, let me ask this. The 2019 run, doesn't it sort of come with the baggage of what could have been? Because it did seem like he was primed for like a big main roster run. If Vince understood what they had with him.
Yeah.
That whole class of NXT, I'm telling you, you and I need to do a video on that. That whole class of NXT is a big old what if.
Yeah, I know. Him, Alistair,
Gargano, Ciampa,
I know.
Keith Lee. That whole class is a big what if.
Ricochet, Ricochet.
Right.
Yeah, NXT was absolutely loaded back then.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Manzano after Brock. Who will Cody's next feuds be with on his way back to Roman? Just look at who John Cena feuded with in 2012.
Okay, so yeah,
Big Show's not in the company anymore, so he can't feud with Big Show.
Cena feuded with Big Show in 2012.
Yeah. And then Cena won. I looked at this. Cena won Money in the Bank, cashed in on Punk. They wrestled to a time limit draw. No, sorry, double pin. His double pin.
All right. Well, he can't do Punk. What's the closest thing WWE has to Punk these days? LA Knight. 2012. I'm going back to 2012 and just see what his matches were back then.
But then he got hurt, and so Ryback was the fill-in for the feud with Punk after that.
Cody versus Ryback. Who's the Ryback these days of WWE?
Oh, gosh.
Let's see here. Okay, so he looks like he feuded with Dolph Ziggler in... Oh, that was late 20... Okay, here we go. 2012. Yeah, no. He wrestled Dolph Ziggler a lot in late 2012.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fair customer says Cena didn't win. Was the cash in on Raw? Because I just saw the pay-per-view match that he and Punk had ended in double pin.
So, yeah, Punk, Cena, Big Show. That was at a Raw house show. The Miz on Raw. He fought The Miz on Raw. There was a lot of CM Punk and Big Show stuff going on.
Yeah.
Tensai. WWE house show. He fought Tensai. So bring Albert out of retirement.
Oh, wow. Bring Matt Bloom up from NXT.
There's a lot of Big Show here.
Yeah.
There's a ton of Big Show.
Let's see. Your UFO guy asked, before Bray Wyatt went out, I struggled to get into that character. The QR codes and the first promos were great, but everything else has gone on too long with zero development when he comes back from his injury illness. What can they do to make this character work, and what brand do they put him on? Just keep it simple, make it grounded in reality. I know he likes doing this, different personalities, these horror movie tropes, which I get.
Yeah.
But
it's too much.
They got to be more grounded in the world of professional wrestling.
He can't figure out how to meld the two, how to bring them together. Mm-hmm. They're just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you got to simplify things, man. You really do.
Yeah. Over on the YouTube, Jeremy here says, say WB use the idea of trades more consistently. What pay-per-view would you have as like the trade deadline, Survivor Series or the Rumble? Then from after that, there couldn't be any trades until after the next draft. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
So if the draft is going to be in May, then you should be Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
6 months later.
Yeah. That's good.
High Plains Drifter, how would Von Wagner pitch Miro's return to Tony Khan?
Hey, listen, Tony, listen, I'm on free agent brand, so I can come to AEW. I got a great idea for Miro. Hey, he helps me bury my dead body.
Oh my gosh. That's it, huh?
That's it, yeah.
That's it, wow.
We're trying to find a way to dispose of a body and not get caught. It's hard to get away with murder in 2023, Tony.
Wow.
That's true.
Jonathan Vieira just asked, what superstar has had the best second run? Is that best second run with a title or best second run with a company?
I would say best, like, for example, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
He had two very distinct runs. Yeah. It's Shawn Michaels.
Or you could make... Yeah, it is, but Drew McIntyre's had a pretty damn good second run WWE compared to his first.
That is, like the difference between the two is larger than the difference between Shawn Michaels' two runs. I'll agree with that totally. Yeah.
Star-Lord, with the draft being over and AEW scrap and Dark and Elevation for the new Saturday show, do you think AEW should have a draft of their own? That'd be interesting if they do the brand split for AEW Collison and Dynamite, if they actually do some sort of draft thing.
What would they call it? Because they're not going to call it the draft. What would they call it? What's another name? What's synonymous with draft? Is there a name?
How about this? They do like a lottery.
Okay. Yeah.
That way it's like they got the tumbler out.
Yeah, it's random, yeah.
Picking names out of the tumbler to go to each brand.
It should be shoot random too. So you end up with like a bunch of scrubs on Saturday.
The Elite and CM Punk on the same brand.
Oh no, yeah, you can't do that. What is there a proper name for what happens like when you're out like about to play a game of pickup and people are like, they select.
You just pick sides.
Yeah, you don't go out there. Hey,
you don't go out and say draft pool. No, you don't do that. I'm in the draft pool.
All right, everybody, who's in the draft pool? Yeah, I've never heard that on the courts.
No.
So yeah, you just pick side. AEW presents pick sides.
Yeah, exactly.
Side Punk, side Elite.
There you go. It's like it's a draft there too, but in the All-Star game now where they have the captains draft the team.
Yeah, what do they call that? Yeah.
They call it a draft.
They call that a draft?
I believe so, yeah.
In the All-Star game they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Odd Breakfast here says, do you think Jinder Mahal's WWE Championship run could have worked if they hadn't pushed him to the top so quickly?
Yep.
Yeah, if he had actually won some matches leading to the title win rather than just having the shock title win. Yeah.
Man, his packaging was top notch, dude. The Bollywood Boys with him, and then that awesome song. Oh, that song is so good.
Really is. Is. PO456 asked, do you think they'll go back to the original idea of having one set of women's tag titles for all three brands? So if they have Alba and Isla challenge, say Liv and Raquel, lose, and then combine the tag titles, I guess that's a possibility.
It's a possibility. I get the feeling the logistics between NXT and main roster are just probably too off to get that, to really make that work. I know that was the original plan, but that doesn't work.
Yeah. Rich T. Rivera asks, regardless who wins WWE's new heavyweight title, how long should the first champion's run be?
From Night of Champions to, I don't know, there's so many people on Raw. I'm gonna say SummerSlam. Have whoever.
Wow, that's pretty short then.
Yeah, I know.
About 2 months, 2.5 months.
Yeah, show people anything can happen.
Because you don't want it to be too short, and people are like, "Oh, this title doesn't mean anything because it keeps getting passed around too much." But the idea of having like your two top champions have really long reigns doesn't sound like much fun either.
I know, exactly.
So 4 months.
4 months, okay. Night of Champions, which is in May.
End of this. So maybe by
September pay-per-view.
October. Yeah, September, October.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right, that's what we got.
That's what we got, and that's what it is. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want to get your question in for next week's Ask Going In Raw, you can do that on Patreon, patreon.com/Steven Larson, or just click join if you're watching us on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.